everybody. Welcome back to the North Central Washington MVP interview series brought to you by Career Connect Washington and the Apple STEM Network. I'm your host, Carrie Horning, Career Connected Learning Specialist with Ncw 171. My guest for today's episode is Alicia Wallace, Youth Career and Training Manager for Skillsource. I think some of you may have joined us expecting Aerotech and Justin Morgeau, but I want to say a huge thank you to you, Alicia, for stepping into this with like maybe a 4-hour notice. So welcome and thank you.
Oh, no problem. Glad I could help out.
Good. Well, we were trying to get together anyways, but we hadn't found a date. So this kind of is, perfect. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let me take care of a little bit. Let me take care just of a little bit of housekeeping, and then I'll get right back with you for the interview. So as always, our goal is simple. It's just to introduce our community partners throughout North Central Washington to one another, and a win today looks like each of you leaving with a greater understanding of the work being done all around you. So grab your lunch, sit back, and get ready for an extra dose of professional nourishment. So Alicia is a constant in Grant County. I have known her since 2018, 2019 when I started Career Connected Learning, but she's out there always working to support our community, creating opportunities for our students and the residents to build up our workforce. She's been in the Moses Lake area since '97. She's a graduate of Moses Lake High School and Big Bend Community College. And her passion for this work is evident every single day. And she says it's partly driven by the fact that her kiddos are also in the Moses Lake School District. One thing I did just learn in this 4-hour pre-game as she's stepping in to fill in today's spot is that she's a snowboarder. And even though we've worked together, I didn't know that. So here's my thing, Alicia. Next time we have a work meeting, I'm saying we definitely have to do it on the mountain. And I thought nobody's ever said, right, that work meetings have to take place in an office. So I went and did a little bit of research on that too. So famous writer and screenwriter Ray Bradbury said, I can work anywhere. I think we can too. So I'll see you at Mission Ridge on a freshy day on a Thursday. How's that?
Love it.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So you ready to kick this off?
I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so tell us about Skillsource's mission and the types of training and learning opportunities you offer to the residents in North Central Washington.
Well, our tagline is training today's workforce for to improve tomorrow's profits. And it really is kind of a twofold mission. We really want to be able to train the workforce, be able to get them into sustainable jobs and livable wages. And then at the same time, we're trying to offset some of those costs for employers. So how can we make it beneficial for an employer to hire this person that maybe doesn't quite have all the training that somebody else has? Or how can they upskill employees that they have right now to maybe give them better wages, get them certificates, keep them from getting a layoff? In the youth, our focus is really that career pathway development and just getting into the community and showing them what's out there and how they can stay local potentially.
Yeah, I love that. I've seen you in action and it's really amazing. So actually, you know what, I'm going to throw this in here. When you talk about that, especially with the students, give me a little bit of idea, because I've heard you talk about the wraparound services. So for anyone watching, what does that mean?
Well, it means a lot of different things. The wraparound services that we offer for youth is sometimes it's offering them a ride to get to a GED test. It's gas assistance to either get to a job or get to that GED test on their own. It's work clothes. Maybe they get hired in a manufacturing plant around and they need steel-toed boots. We can help pay for that so that they don't have to worry about waiting for that first check and not being able to start. And the list really just goes on. Car repairs, helping pay for certificates and licenses even. We have a young lady who's going to be starting the CNA program at one of the local nursing homes, and we're going to pay to get her license for her.
Nice. Yeah, that's incredible. So I think, maybe we've already actually even answered this question, but how does this all contribute to building out careers and supporting our local businesses?
just again, we want to show the kids what's out there. Through one of our grants, we do a lot of tours, informational interviews, and job shadows, and then we can pay students to be in these work experiences on the job where the employer gets the benefit of somebody helping them out without the
Yeah.
burden of having to pay them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I've seen you firsthand. When we come into the businesses together and the students get to see what's happening inside there. I mean, it really is. It's boots on the ground workforce development.
It really is. And to be able to get them into the employer is more than somebody sitting in a classroom and droning on at them about this is what we do. Getting
Yeah.
them there shows them what it is. And maybe they see something that they're like, wow, I didn't know that that was an option. I didn't realize that was part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That statement is so true because I say, even as an adult living in
Mhm.
the Columbia Basin area, I didn't know until I started this job in 2018 what was going on in all those big buildings out there on Randolph Road and beyond. So, if the adults in our community aren't fully aware of what's happening, how on earth, can our students be? So, yeah, that's great. I love partnering with Skillsource. So, thank you again. All right. Well, let's see here. So we've mentioned already that we work together quite a bit, and I've worked with you enough personally that I know collaborative partnerships are crucial to the mission. So can you tell our listeners who maybe don't have the experience with you that I do about some of the key partnerships and the initiatives that SkillSource is involved in?
That's such a hard question because there's so many points of contact that we really just try to keep. A couple of our big ones, I would say, is we've started partnering with Job Corps, who trains students to do these trades, and they can get them some of those work-based learning experiences, but not necessarily in a paid capacity. So
Hmm.
we've been able to enroll their students and get them paid to learn their task and have kind of that launch point for not starting at ground zero with no money. That gives them a couple $1,000 to put in their pocket
Yeah.
when they leave.
Yep.
Um, we work with DVR partner to get a grant to help us work with students that have IEPs and 504s, where we really work on work readiness and even that self-advocacy piece. So they get to they learn to ask for accommodations. They learn to advocate for themselves, ask for time off, but then they also get to practice it by being placed into paid work experiences in the community. Integrated work, we don't job coach, but they're there on the job, and the employers teach them and we teach them, and we just have those conversations of like, hey, you were 5 minutes late, that's not an appropriate work thing.
Yeah.
But it's a safe environment versus, getting a job on their own where they'd get fired probably on that first or second offense.
Yeah.
AJAC, we've done a couple of apprenticeships with them where we've been able to help those students in the apprenticeship. Again, those support services that wrap around of they needed steel-toed boots. We were able to buy them. They needed coveralls. We could buy them. We're all currently in the process of getting that apprenticeship up and going with AJAC and Jeannie. And we're talking about, is it possible for us to help pay for the OSHA class
Hmm.
and that first aid class? How can we help them get that? Because they're going to need it before they start. In our Wenatchee office, Susan Adams was really a champion with helping a local community of vet techs, Cascade Vet, start a veterinary technician assistant apprenticeship, which was kind of a first of its kind, and she helped build it from the ground up. Apprenticeship is really just kind of growing, and we're seeing that in all of these rural communities, especially where maybe the training isn't as easily and readily available for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one that we're working on that's super small is Star Ranch over in Quincy. They're looking to bring in one just to kind of get the ball rolling. They're interested in potentially upskilling some of their current employees as well, which would still be considered an apprenticeship, but they really want to get their feet wet with one. But it's interesting because yesterday I spoke with the human resources manager, and she interviewed two candidates, both from Quincy, because that was kind of their request since they're a Quincy location. And her expectations were exceeded to the point where they're thinking, could we figure out a way to do two? And there's no commitment on two or anything yet, but it was really cool to hear them say that not only do we want to do an apprenticeship, but the two candidates that we had were very well prepared and blew our minds. So that's pretty cool.
That is
So,
fantastic. And it kind of going back to Jeannie, you know, I think they probably expected a dozen and they're up to 20 or so now, and they want to see how they can help them all. So it
yeah.
really is that collaboration of how can we all work together to make it work.
Yeah, it's really coming together right now. I think what we had 65 plus people at the apprenticeship night, and I think 18 or 19 applicants that night. But then last week was the College and Career Expo over at Big Bend Community College, and more applications were coming in. So I know they're in process in the background. I know they are in process right now of trying to figure out how to go through, all the applications. So it is going to be exciting. We'll have to do another one of these afterwards to really pump up and talk about all the apprenticeships that are happening, out here in North Central Washington. So,
You know, I forgot I think the most important collaboration of all is the Career Connect one. You know, we're not as deeply involved in Career Connect as we were, but we do still get some of the regional network funds that help us support other programs and support even our own programs. And so we've used those funds to sponsor the Othello Career Showcase. We've used it to pay for printing and advertisement for our own career fairs. And, you know, we invite the schools because we want everyone to know what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Good one. Well, let's move on here. So, with all of this great conversation, let's talk a little bit about the trends. Like, what trends and emerging opportunities should our audience be aware of? And, how is Skillsource adapting to, help keep students and residents, stay competitive for the job market?
Well, I think a couple of big ones is, you know, CDL. So Othello School District is in their first year of a CDL program for students. Skillsource is looking at ways that we can help partner and offset the cost while they don't have to pay that $4,000 tuition fee that they would have to pay if they went to like a truck driving school or Big Bend or, you know, any of those other places. There's still the cost of like the DOT physical, again, the boots, the coveralls, the gloves, all those things that they might not have, and the permit. And so the school really was wanting to have some burden on the students, but we were also talking to them about how do we not put too much burden on the students, because you might exclude those that are really interested but just don't have the financial resources.
Yeah, CDL is no joke. That there's a big expense to that. So this is a great program.
Well, and it's a huge market too. I think they're recognizing that there's just not enough CDL truck drivers. Working with the adult team, I hear how most of the CDLs that we pay for through Skillsource, the people have a job before they even leave the class a lot of times. And so I think expanding it to maybe that younger market can help fill some of those jobs that are open. I know that Othello's, a lot of their businesses are interested in this and they've agreed to be on like advisory committees.
Yeah.
So,
I think, we see that firsthand. My husband farms, and during potato harvest, you have to have truck drivers or you can't get those spuds out of the ground. So, coming up with drivers, CDL certified every year, can be challenging at times. So I'm super excited about this program. And when we were kind of pre-gaming in the very short period of time we had to prep, since you jumped in here this morning, last second, did you say Quincy was also interested there?
So I don't have a lot of the details because unfortunately I missed the meeting, but I did hear that they are in the early talks of it as well. They are trying to figure out how they can get a program in their school district too.
Perfect. That's kind of how this happens. And I always refer to it, a little bit of Johnny Appleseed. One school district or one business decides to do something. They have, usually great success. And then, it starts to sprinkle out throughout the area. And I think, that's just really good for our communities. So, yeah.
Another big one is apprenticeship. I think apprenticeship has just grown exponentially from all the collaboration that we've had recently. AJAC has done, a phenomenal job of getting into some of these manufacturing plants and creating that manufacturing technician apprenticeship, which again, it allows these youth to start down those career pathways and they can see those jobs are available in the local communities instead of having to go to a four-year college, because that's not for everybody. And honestly, just I think paid work-based learning is becoming more popular as well. Employers are loving the idea of being able to try out somebody before they necessarily have to buy them. And it helps ease kind of that burden and that cost, because employers are seeing a lot of turnover these days.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
are accepting jobs and then just not showing after a week.
Mm. Yes. Yes. I actually just was personally on the phone with the business yesterday, and that was exactly why they hadn't had anybody out to our, location yet, because the person that they had hired had decided, after multiple times, just not for me today. I'm not coming in, which is, not acceptable.
It is not, and that's what we're trying to stop with Skillsource.
Yeah.
The youth program is really about building that work maturity and teaching these kids, hey, even if you don't like the job, give them notice, let them know that you don't like it. Don't ghost them, as they say.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We work together a lot on this too. It's the soft skills, right? Or life
Hmm.
skills, whatever you want to call them. It seems like they're being tweaked with all kinds of different titles, but it's the same thing, good communication, teamwork, punctuality, all those things. Yeah. So, well, so any other opportunities or trends that we want to talk about?
I think another one was that 60% of high school graduates by 2030 are really looking to be required to have that paid work experience.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? I know we talked on the backside. I was trying to do a little bit of homework. I think it's like House Bill 1301 or 1801. I can't honestly remember. But basically, that is, a deliverable, I think, for all of us, that we meet that with the high school graduates by 2030. And really, we need Skillsource, and we need our employees, our employers. We need our entrepreneurs. We really need everybody to kind of buy into this. And like you said, it is a great way for them to really test run their own, workforce development. So,
Mm-hmm.
and these high school kids, a lot of them, they want to work. So yeah, that's going to be a good one. The good thing, those career pathways, it's great way to get exposure. So awesome. All right. Well, let's see here. So this is always my favorite question every single week during MVP. I think I mentioned that a lot of times when people are on this live with us, we know for a fact that it's sort of a multitasking event. Maybe they're eating lunch, maybe they're checking a few emails while they're on MVP. But these feel good questions usually kind of bring them back in and kind of wake them up a little bit. So you work and have worked for a long time in our community with a lot of adults and students. So is there a success story that you can share with us? Just an example of somebody that has had a significant impact on you, or vice versa, that has just stayed with you.
Honestly, there's been so many, but there's one somewhat recently that really sticks to my mind. A young man came to us at the end of 2020. He had dropped out of school. He was looking to get re-engaged, but needs some help to do it.
Hmm.
Enrolled in the program, got enrolled with Open Doors when it was still back at Big Bend, and was really just trying to do that, but he was just not fine. No, he came to us at the end of 2019, got enrolled in Big Bend, was going to Big Bend, and then everything shut down.
Hmm.
Really struggled with that, not being able to go to class, but not being able to do things online. It just wasn't a format for him. Got his girlfriend pregnant, girlfriend miscarried,
Hmm.
got hooked on drugs,
Oh man.
ghosted me for about 6 months, but I didn't give up on him. And then at the end of the summer, he ended up showing up back on my doorstep. I believe it was 2022 by that time when he finally came back.
Hmm.
Shows up on my doorstep and said, I'm so sorry, Alicia. Here's everything that's happened to me. We continued to work together for a while, and then he disappeared on me again for a couple more months.
Hmm.
Shows up back in my office again. Alicia, I'm so sorry. I really do respect you. I didn't mean to. I got shot in
Oh.
Spokane. Yes. Great
Whoa.
kid, bad life choices.
Yeah.
You know, he'd gotten shot. He was healed. He was like, I'd love to do another work experience with you. placed him at the food bank, and he worked at the food bank but wasn't making progress on his school. By that time, Moses Lake School District had taken Open Doors back.
Mm.
Wasn't making progress. I said, hey, have you thought about your GED? No, your GED's for losers. I'm not going to do that. My mom really wants me to get my high school diploma. And I said, buddy, if you're not going to school and you're not making progress, what's better? Not having a diploma, but saying that you're working for it, or just getting your GED?
Good
And
for
he
you.
thought about it and he thought about it and he thought about it. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do it. Passed his test, easy peasy. I think he had his test done in a month. And um, he had talked to us about being interested in going to be a pharmacy technician. We had talked to him about Job Corps. The local program has pharmacy tech. Unfortunately, they were still at a point that they weren't taking off campus students, and he didn't want to live there.
Yeah.
One of our new youth trainers, Amanda, had a connection at Walgreens. She was able to get him a job there. He got himself a job there, but with a little bit of her connection.
Yeah.
He got a job just kind of on the retail side, and they worked with him to get into like a pharmacy tech program online. And for the last 8 months or so, he's been slowly building and working on those certificates. And then about 3 months ago, they were like, hey, we hear he has a brother. Any chance his brother would want to come and work for us? He has got a fantastic work ethic. We love him. He is doing so phenomenal. Like, can
Yes.
can we have his brother? So Amanda was working with his brother and was able to help him through the process of applying. And he too got a job out at Walgreens. And so they loved him so much, they were willing to give him a car, brother, to be able to get to work.
Whoa,
And
that
so
is
they are
incredible.
both
Our,
employed at Walgreens.
so our local Walgreens.
Mm-hmm.
Holy,
Down on this, yeah.
wow, that's the type of employer commitment and
Mm-hmm.
participation and involvement we are looking for. And then, bravo for the students, those guys for, pulling it out. That's a tough road.
To get clean, to be shot and to not relapse, it was incredible. And the kid has such a heart. Like, he's such a softie, but he wants to act tough, and he thinks he's bad, and he just needed to be put on the right path.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is one of those moments where I wish I could remember things that I've seen before, but just that comment. There was a quote that talked about, what does it really mean to be tough, and it actually means, to be gentle. And I'm
Mm.
not doing any service to that quote, but I'm going to try to find it before we're done here, because I think I've got it from a friend of mine on a text. So I'll try to pull that up. But okay, so that is a great story. Thank you, for sharing that. That is kind of that's why I love this question, because it really does wrap up everything that we're doing every day. And, it might not be 5,000 students in one shot, but one at a time. And
Mm.
one at a time becomes two at a time. This is, evidence of that. And then so on and so on. So, yeah, thank you for sticking with them and doing that work. That's awesome, Alicia.
We play the long game.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, well, let's keep rolling here. We're getting close to our 5 minute mark. So we've learned a little bit about Skillsource. We've talked about some of the programs. We've talked about some success stories. But how can our local businesses and community partners get involved with Skillsource's efforts to help our residents, build out new careers and develop strong teams?
I think one of the best ways for businesses to get involved is to be open to the idea of tours and informational interviews and job shadows. And, most of the time it doesn't cost anything, but a little bit of your time. As far as the community, spread the word,
Yeah,
refer people over. We never like to tell people what our qualifications are, because a lot of times we can find a way that they qualify that somebody else wouldn't, because they don't know the nuances of our program. Just be open to change. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, well, we've always done it this way.
yeah,
Well, we've always done it and it's worked, but what if we can make it work better?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
Very
think
good.
making it work better is letting these kids in, giving these kids opportunity.
Yeah, that's a terrific answer. All right. Okay, so I did find that quote too. I want to make sure I share it because you never know when it's going to land with somebody else. So, what is the true sign of strength? Asked the boy. Gentleness, said the horse. And I think that's it. Right? You want to be this tough, strong, kid or guy or gal, when really, you just have to be gentle with yourself and with others, and that's where you're going to find that strength. So I love this. This is good stuff. Okay, so we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to make sure that I give time for the people who are with us live to ask questions or give comments. But is there anything else that you want to share that maybe we haven't covered yet?
I think we covered a lot of what we do. Again, it's just spread the word.
Okay.
We are here to help the youth of our community, young adults, I say. I hate to call them youth because then the 16s or the 18s plus don't think that they qualify.
Oh, yeah, very good. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we did cover a lot, especially like I said, since you took my call at 6:30 or 7 this morning and only had a few hours to prepare. So again, big thank you. But what I want to do now is just say, to anyone who's with us live, if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and pop off your mic and feel free to jump in here with us.
Well, I gave Eileen a chance, but you know me, Carrie. I always have
I know, I
questions.
was going to say, I'm talking to you, Kim. No.
I know. So I'm sorry I jumped in when we'd already started, but what age range do you provide services to, Alicia?
Well, in the youth program, it's 16 to 24, but then we also have our adult program, which is 18 to retirement. So there's
Okay.
a little bit of crossover, and we kind of look internally to see which program best fits the needs of the person.
And so do you have anything, because I'm with Boys and Girls Club and we have a teen center, but it's primarily middle school kids. And so do you do any prep with that middle school age at all?
We never have, but again, just because we haven't in the past doesn't mean we don't start doing something in the future.
That's right. Yeah, I'm always looking for something for especially those soft skills. When you talk about showing up and not ghosting, that's just so important. And we find that with even staff that we hire, it's really difficult to hire that age group right now, but really preparing those kids as they're middle schoolers so that when they are of age to go out and find a job or find something that they're interested in. And so really opening the doors for people. I loved your story, by the way. I thought that was fantastic. And I'm always looking for one or two that we can make a change. So thanks for what you're doing there.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kim, I think I'll definitely back up and say if you want to do some soft skills clinics with your kiddos, just let me know. I love coming in and doing that. So we could get something scheduled for sure before the holidays. All right. Well, you know what, Alicia, that's the one thing I told you this morning when I begged you to come on and fill the space was that it was going to go quickly. And we're down to 2 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is just basically thank you again for being so willing to jump in here, with no warning and for doing such an incredible job, not only today, but every day out there, in our community.
Thanks for making it easy because I can tell you I was so nervous this morning.
Well, that's all right. I still get nervous too. And this is like my 5th round of doing it, but it's getting a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, I mean, the people who join us are amazing. And then, we don't have any idea who's watching it after the fact. So we just be ourselves. So, well, listen, thanks everybody for joining the MVP series. We will be back again next week. Yeah, we appreciate having you every single week. Thanks, Career Connect Washington, and thanks to the Apple STEM Network. Have a great day, everybody.